Hello, Comic Richie here, and today I wanted to talk about 10 movies. I'm gonna sneeze. Ow! Ow! That's me. Give it a hug, God bless you all. Scott Meyer here, and welcome to the movies that I don't like yet others do. I've seen many a movie in my lifetime, and there's just some movies that I just don't get why people like them. Although, in some sense, I do. The movies I'm going to mention, not all of them are inherently awful by any way. I can think of movies that are far worse than these. And if you like these movies, that's fine. I'm not going to scold you for it. I'm going to elaborate why I don't really like these movies. Shall we? Top 10 movies that I don't like yet everyone else loves for some reason, in no particular order. I'm going to start off with Mr. Turner, Pollock's. Essentially, the film is one of those award-winning films, the category where they have these slow period dramas that get the attention in the Academy Awards. I always take time to watch the movies that get attention at the awards, because some of them are indeed fascinating and quite good. I enjoy watching them with my parents. So Mr. Turner features Timothy Spall in the lead role. He plays J.W.W. Turner, if I got the name correctly. He was a painter who was known for painting lots of boats, seascape, and this movie basically depicts his life. And like all the period dramas, it takes its time to develop the characters and gets us into the period piece, and there are some fascinating scenes where they get us to know what the time was like back then, like the very primitive form of taking photographs, the way he has to purchase expensive powder to make the paint necessary to make his paintings. Like all these scenes are fascinating. So why do I not like this movie? Because it's so boring! It's the most boring movie I've ever seen in my life! It just goes on and on and on. And characters, stay quiet. They do talk, but there's very little progression. I know this is the last half of his life, and I know this is what life would feel like, but you're meant to tell a story! If we wanted to find out about his life, we would have been reading a book or something! There's very few scenes where there's actual character development, and by the time it ends, it just ends with his death! Look, I understand that some movies just need this sort of slow, slice-of-life kind of movie. But scenes just drag on and on and on, and this movie is 3 hours long! Why didn't they make a director's cut? The film that I saw should have been the director's cut, not the theatrical release! I know artsy films have this niche. I appreciate artsy films. I watch films in the Academy, but you've got to keep my attention! I remember sitting there just watching in front of the screen going, come on, get something to happen. Please, something, anything. Occasionally, something unexpected will happen that will catch you off guard. Something will happen, but it doesn't really have a lasting effect on the film as a whole. To my knowledge, it doesn't say anything other than this guy existed. Okay, cool. Why are you making this movie about him? What's the story? What's the point? You don't usually hear me rant, but there'll be plenty of those to come here. The next one, Lesbiville De Rendezvous. This one was made by the same person who made, The Illusionist. I liked that movie. His film, Lesbiville De Rendezvous. Yeah, I didn't like it. I can appreciate that this director does really well with silent storytelling, and that his characters are very expressive, like we're in some kind of a mime theater. And there is a charm to that. Even in this movie that I'm talking about, which kind of disgusted me to my core, there's a real charm in that the characters have this quirky design and they interact off each other. And there are some scenes in Lesbiville De Rendezvous that did make me laugh. So the premises of Lesbiville De Rendezvous is that it starts off with these three women, these triplets, singing at a show. They become important in the plot later. Meanwhile, this old mother is a single mother is taking care of her son who wants to ride a bike. He tried to get her a dog, but that didn't work. So gets her a bike, and he is obsessed with bike riding to the point where, as he grows older, he competes for the Tour de France, the cycling tournament. She trains him well hard, but then as he's doing the tournament, he goes missing, and the mother, along with her dog, goes to search for her son in this materialistic, obsessed city. Why do I not like this movie? It disgusted me. Like, by the time it ended, I thought, is that it? It just left me feeling, ugh. I had to watch Disney's Atlantis to recover from what I saw. It has this wrong balance between being lighthearted and being grotesque. It's a grotesque movie. It feels very uncomfortable. And I don't think this style and these character designs altogether fit the mood that they're trying to accomplish, if that was what their intent. Like, there are some gags, but they kind of feel disjointed and out of place. I mean, it's at one moment it's super serious, but the other moment it's kind of humorous, kind of like dark humorous, but it's kind of grotesque. There's this final chase scene which kind of defies logic. I think it's supposed to be funny, but there was this disturbing scene beforehand where the cyclist runs out of energy to run this machine thing, and the gangster's like slowly, devilishly bringing out his gun. Cyclist is like sweating, really hardcore sweating, teeth grinding, just, no, please, please, don't end my life, please, I've got so much to live for, don't make me see my maker. Bang! I don't think this, like, it's kind of got this wrong tone between lighthearted and dark-hearted, because in the next scene, there's this really ridiculous scene where, spoilers, the son and the other cyclists are they're still cycling. They've brainwashed to cycle, even during the cycling tournament, and then they carry the machine with them, which should hardly have any speed. And then the gangsters get in their cars. Somehow, they're not able to keep up with the machine. The mom somehow stops a car with her shoe. I mean, if this was meant to be ridiculous, it needs to be more hysterical. The dark tone and the goofy humor, it makes this grotesque effect that it just doesn't work. Although, to be fair, there are some scenes that did make me laugh. Like, there's the scene where they meet one of the triplets, and they go frog fishing. How does she go frog fishing? She goes to the pond, chucks a grenade, holds out her net, bang! The frogs enter the net. Okay, that scene was very funny. Especially with a little smile, like a big grinny smile. That was funny. But then it kind of ends anticlimactically. They escape, and then it zooms out. The son, who's at old age, is watching it and says, "Oh, that's the end of the movie." Like, what? It left a very bad, sour taste, and I'm sorry, I didn't like it. Next one, Napoleon Dynamite. Ooh, the internet's gonna get real mad with this choice. Look, I understand that you like this guy. He's kind of quirky, and he's become somewhat of a cult phenomenon. And even I've got to admire that dance scene at the end of his movie. Like, that was a spectacle. Especially as a dancer myself. But I was kind of bored throughout the rest of this movie. Like, this is supposed to be, like, humorous? I mean, I understand that the humor comes from Napoleon being a very awkward teenage guy, but that's it. He's a very awkward teenage guy, and there wasn't really much to go out of it. It's got a very slow pacing, and I don't recall laughing that much when I saw it. Yeah, not much more to say about that, I'm afraid. Moulin Rouge! A lot of you people were saying, oh, you're just copying Dog Walker. Say what you want about Dog Walker, but I think he was right about this one. I remember watching this with my parents and thought, you know what, I'll give it a chance. I mean, I'm willing to give movies a chance. And boy, the tone of Moulin Rouge is all over the place. Well, not just the tone, the pacing is all over the place. Like, throughout the vast majority of the movie, it never stops, like, cutting from this bit to next bit, the next bit, the next bit. It doesn't allow me to take a breath to soak in the environment that much. Although the aesthetics look amazing. The characterization and the tone and the basics, it's all over the place. Like, it's as if the film cannot tell if it wants to be lighthearted and goofy or dramatic and serious. Like, there's these pretty goofy characters being portrayed here, with fast-paced editing you'd see out of what's it called? Some kind of wacky children's show, like Pee-wee's, something like that. Well, the film wasn't all bad. There were some amazing dance sequences from time to time. There were some sincerely sweet moments here and there. But Baz Luhrmann has his style. Can't say I'm fond of it. It's very manic, yet also trying to take itself seriously. Look, combining comedy and drama can work. I mean, people like Disney and other people do that sort of thing all the time. But this is actually wackier than the most wackiest Disney movie. And honestly, I would have loved to appreciate this movie as it is. I think to fix this movie, there could have been less rapid cuts and trying to make the tone a bit more balanced. That's how I would fix this movie. And now, because I have little time, I am going out on a run and continuing on with this list of mine. Anyway, oh crud, 15% battery, better make it get this quick. The next one, Jason Bourne. Now, I really enjoyed the Jason Bourne trilogy. It's quite a thrill ride. I'd recommend it. My mum loves Matt Damon. And I even liked the Bourne Legacy with Hawkeye in it. But the film that's entitled Jason Bourne, oh man, if ever there was such an ironically boring movie, this would be it. I've expressed concerns with something like Marvel fatigue, where I fear that as time goes by, the Marvel movies will begin to pick up this formula, will make it all too predictable. And Jason Bourne is probably one of the worst examples of this. Again, not the trilogy, but the film called Jason Bourne, set after the trilogy. The premise of this film is that Jason has found out his identity, no longer suffering from amnesia, and he's undergoing a mission to gain vengeance on his family or whatnot. But it follows the exact same formula we just saw in the previous 4 movies. We've been there, done that. You know the formula. Jason sent on the mission, he goes to one area, gets chased by another person, then goes to another area to do investigation. Oh, build up exposition. Next chasing. Oh, build up exposition to investigate in this other area. Chasing. Oh, build up exposition. This next area. Chasing. Over and over and over again. We've been there. We've done that. And because the previous movies have the exact same formula, right down to the theme song at the end, it's almost the exact same plot. Except this time with Jason Bourne, there's a bit of a mild dramatic vengeance story. What could have fixed this movie is if they delved deeper into Jason Bourne's past
why he became an assassin. So we could have had something like Logan. But no, same repeated, recycled formula. And I'm sorry, thriller movies are not meant to be boring. I know that once you see a thrilling movie, the thrill's not quite there, like The Fugitive, but I'm sorry, this is meant to be a thriller. Not been there, done that. Next one, Truly Madly Deeply. Yeah, I know this is kind of a sweet film. Well, bittersweet film, rather. And there are some quirky moments, and I get that it's a slice of life story, but I personally find the protagonists of this story very troublesome. I find it troubling that these main characters have these secularized worldviews. And look, I understand making stories about flawed people, but I think this way they specifically focus and characterize these people is kind of depressing in a different way. And a few blasphemies here and there too. Also, despite what people could interpret from the ghosts, there's not really much to go back to with this movie, I think. It's a movie like Learn to Drive. It's a sweet film, but once you've seen it, you don't go back to watch it again. There's not a lot of nuance to it. It just is what it is. Yeah, I don't think beliefs is something you just mildly overlook, which is why I don't recommend Truly Madly Deeply. Now, this next one, I don't really bring myself to hate that much, but it's more disappointing than, outright not liking it. It's another award contender named Boyhood. Now, a lot of people loved this movie when it came out, and I could definitely see why. The ambitious filmmaking technique of following our main protagonist as he literally grows up for a full 12 years before our eyes, that is some ambitious filmmaking. And this kid had to have been truly dedicated to the role, even down to like the stage of puberty, days of falling in love, and all these things. And it makes for a sincere slice of life story. But the story itself, apart from addressing some issues like divorce, abusive partners, and slice of life, there isn't really much of a story here. And that's the bit I find disappointing with Boyhood. There wasn't really much substance to it other than, look, there's a boy going through life and he's literally growing up. Right, cool, what's the story to back it up? Oh, that's it. That's the story. Really? Well, okay. Again, I'm sure people will love this movie, but I don't imagine them coming back to it again and again to get the nuances of it. I mean, even if this film were to discuss deep philosophies of life, it must have been really suppressed, because all we're seeing is a boy growing up, casual talk, and then goes off to college to study photography. Hey, I did photography, by the way. I passed higher photography with an A. But talks to his friend. Yeah, his life, I guess. Well, boom. Film ends. I suppose it does make sense to... Oh, crap, that's running out of battery. It does make sense to end the film at the end of the Boyhood, but wasn't much of a plot to it, so as a result, it was kind of boring. Thankfully, not as boring as Mr. Turner, but I was still disappointed. Speaking of going through teenagehood, the next part, then the first Descendants movie. Now, for those of you who've been watching Disney Plus Pals, me and my friend Neil had been watching the first Descendants movie, and we watched the sequels afterwards. As of recording this, I've yet to upload our thoughts on the sequels, which we thought were much better than this movie. But me and Neil hated the first Descendants movie. We hated it. Although the sequels were actually really good. Thanks to Harry Hook. But the first Descendants movie is torture. The hip songs are just... they're bad. The writing is bad, the way they treat most of the villains, they butchered them. It is cheesy in the worst way possible. Cliched and cringe-worthy. There are some scenes that works, like Aurora's mother. That scene was pretty intense in the right way possible. And there were some parts about this premise about Disney being in a modernized setting with the high school. Some aspects of it worked, but the rest of it, oh boy. No, high school would not be my first pick of choice. Back from the 10K run. And they butchered Be Our Guest. You don't butcher Be Our Guest! At least the live-action Beauty and the Beast remake at least had some dignity to put on a show. This version of Be Our Guest is so cringy. They're trying to put in hip-hop rap and it doesn't work. I really hate it when people try to put this sort of junk food trendy stuff into media because it's immediately going to get dated and people are going to throw it away. Now, hip-hop and rap can work in the right context. It's worked tremendously in projects like Hamilton and Samurai Champloo. So cringeworthy because it's teenagers trying to be cool. I'll probably leave a link to reveal my thoughts as well as Neil's thoughts on the first Descendants movie. But don't worry, the sequels get better. 9th entry, Minions. Everybody loves those Despicable Me Minions. And some of the Despicable Me movies are actually quite funny. I think Despicable Me 2 is one of the funniest animated comedies ever made. And the Minions were indeed hilarious. So, I guess it makes sense to make an entire movie about them, but what's the problem? Here's the problem. The Despicable Me movies are family movies. The Minions movies are stupid kids movies. Yeah, Minions is not a family movie. It's a stupid kids movie. Because with the Despicable Me movies, you had the balance of children and adults. The children would love the funny shenanigans of the minions, and so would everyone else. The adults would love the wit and the shenanigans of Gru for the more adult-oriented humor, as well as how relatable he can be at times. Beans and Beatles! The point is, films like these need an order to them. The Minions movie is not orderly. It is nothing but the same hectic Minion gag scene over and over and over again, non-stop. There's something profound I've learned about the Minions movie. Like, people with this sort of frantic gags like the Minions can work for like short bursts. But if you're doing it frequently, ooh, they're gonna become a nuisance fast. To the point where they'll do some pretty cliched stuff for the sake of cheap party gags. Like, there's a scene where a minion has like a bubble power to mind control people, and they're singing in a specific way, and I just thought to myself, no, please don't dance, that's not the sort of thing I want. And I'm watching this movie and I was thinking, how do you make some of the funniest characters into the most annoying things on screen? It's kind of like trying to write Superman. It's hard to craft perfectly, but you need the right balance. Minions was not that balance.
Last one, I'll make this quick. Is this working? Hopefully it does. Last one, I'll make this quick. A Christmas Story. A lot of people are going to hate me for this one, but I'm sorry. This film was very cheesy. Wrong kind of cheese. I wouldn't have minded the film as it was, but the narrator. I know the narrator's looking back on some fond memories, and if that's his natural voice, then I don't think I could hardly blame him, but oh man, it's a super cheesy voice. Deliberately explaining everything that we can already see on the screen. Yeah, it's wrong kind of cheese for me. Sorry. And I was going to mention other ones like 50 Shades of Grey, and I'll edit this bit out too. And because I can, I'm going to add in two more. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. There were some aspects of this film I actually really liked. This is why I'm not going to give too much attention to it, because there were some bits I actually liked. Actually, forget it, I'm going to edit this part out. So there you go. These are 10 films that I didn't like, yet everyone else seems to like for some reason. What are some films that you like, yet everyone else... Well, no. Ah, man, I suck at this. Were there any films that you don't like, yet everyone else liked for some reason? Let me know in the comments down below. And join me next time when I mention movies that I like, yet everyone else seems to hate. See you there.